Hi, I'm Dr. John Mayberry. I'm here to welcome you to Math 57 Summer 3 COVID-19 edition. I thought it might be helpful to give you a quick video tour of the Canvas site, just in helps kind of seeing the structure of the course and seeing how you're going to navigate the course throughout our time together over the next 5 weeks. So, when you go to the homepage of Math 57, you'll find a few items of interest. First of all, you'll note that the whole course is organized into 3 modules based on first order, second order, and systems of equations. Each module throughout the course will be followed with a midterm examination that will be take home and that will test a series of learning objectives that you can find at the beginning of each module. So to give you a quick example, if you click on module 1 of the course, it will take you to module 1 and you'll find several different Canvas pages here, the first of which lists learning objectives for this module, right, along with book sections where you can find them. And the other thing you'll find is a day-to-day sort of checklist of items that you should be thinking about. So, for example, we're going to start our journey on day 1, Introduction to First Order of Equations. Okay. On day 1 of the class, we're going to be meeting for a live 2-hour synchronous meeting during our normally scheduled 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time meeting. So, on that first day, you will come to the class and we will be going through some notes, an outline of which is provided in the slides. If you want to download this before coming to class, if you have a tablet, for example, that you like to take notes on, most of these are fairly blank and have room for you to follow along with. We will be completing almost daily group work activities during our meetings, which you will be submitting to Canvas for my viewing pleasure and feedback. And then you'll also notice there's some other items that you'll be completing each day. For example, there'll be links, or at least a mention of the textbook sections that will be covered on that specific day in which you can review material. There's going to be a daily quiz, which will be very brief and kind of basic questions on the material for you to complete. There's going to be a little bit lengthier homework assignment. And on some days, there'll be additional optional items. For example, on the first day of class, I would like you to download MATLAB from the link provided here, and also to review the on-ramp tutorial if you're not familiar with MATLAB or if you'd just like to review some of the features. So, returning to the home page of the course, I wanted to point out a couple other things. First of all, there's a link to the course textbook, which is basically just some lecture notes that I've compiled over the years of teaching this course. So we'll be following that and covering pretty much all of it, minus a few optional sections. But really, when you want to begin your journey, where you'll find the most important information for assessment and whatnot in the course is the syllabus tab. Now, under the syllabus tab, the first part kind of starts off with a very detailed course structure, which is kind of briefly summarized in the following diagram. So after that first day where we'll have the live 2-hour meeting, we're going to be having live meetings from 10:30 to 11:30 from henceforth in the class. And the reason for scheduling a little bit later is because I know we have, for example, one person in Hawaii, which is 3 hours behind. I know we have someone actually in Guam, which is a huge time difference. So when I say that these live sessions are required, I mean, I'd like you to make all possible attempts to attend those. But if for some reason it doesn't work out because of hardships or time differences, they will also be recorded and posted to Canvas, and you can view them at a later time. Now, after you attend the live sessions each day, the next step will be to watch a follow-up video lecture and also to complete readings in the textbook of the appropriate sections. Now, the material from the live session and the follow-up video and readings will then be covered in a Canvas quiz. And the Canvas quiz, as I mentioned before, will usually be sort of briefer questions, more basic questions of the material. So that would be the thing I would complete first before moving on to the lengthier homework assignment. Now, as we progress from stage to stage within a day of our course life, you can always feel free to ask and post questions on Canvas. I'm going to be having and putting up some discussion forums where you can ask questions to the class, or you can also email me directly through the mail tool in Canvas. After you submit an assignment, I will be giving you feedback on it, and you'll actually have a chance to revise based on that feedback for full credit within a day. And this is just to kind of close the loop. I always feel like, when you make mistakes on an assignment, there's no shame in that. You're learning. It's a formative thing that you're reviewing the material. So I hope that you will take the feedback, revise those assignments, and get something out of that. Now, A couple other items I wanted to point out. I'm not going to go through the syllabus in detail. I'll encourage you to read it on your own. I do want to mention, though, scrolling down here to the assessment and the evaluation in the class, that your final grade, will be based on 3 take-home midterms, a final exam, which is also take-home but cumulative, homework assignments, which you'll notice are significant, right? And then quizzes, which you'll notice are not so significant part of your grade. Okay? So the quizzes to me are more like just a quick check that you're kind of keeping up the pace with things and a learning opportunity. The homework assignments are a chance for you to practice those skills in more complex problems, which you will also then be demonstrating on these take-home exams. Now, for these exams, I want to make sure it's clear to you that they are supposed to be individual-based exams. I know that's really challenging to do when you're not in that sort of classroom environment to kind of silence yourself to your classmates and other things, but I would really like you to make an attempt to do this, and so that it demonstrates what you truly have understood and known about the class. Now, you will have actually 2 options for submitting your exams. You can either type them as a PDF, and we'll actually be learning a little bit about mathematical typesetting in LaTeX. So you'll have some tools at your disposal for really writing nice-looking math documents. Or if you want to use those tools in a different way, you can record a video that still has some typeset software, but instead of those written explanations, you would include oral explanations in there as a video link. And that's just for those of you who actually prefer explaining with words and maybe do better explaining with words than you do explaining with writing. Now, the homework assignments, by the way, have sort of 5 components, which I'd like you to think about as you're writing them up. And these 5 components will also then be applied to the exam problems as well. Okay. Now, the first is an obvious thing for any math class. Your solutions should correctly answer the questions of interest, the questions that you're being asked to answer. Right. I think most of you would probably be comfortable with the second one as well, that you need to include some calculations and mathematical justification for all the steps leading up to your answer. Right. We don't want to just see a number. We care about the process that you're going through. Now, the next one, though, the next 2, in fact, may be a little less familiar. See, when I was growing up, when teachers said, show your work, it really meant, okay, show me an equation, and maybe next to it, put a little couple word justification for what that step is. I'm not actually looking for that type of exposition. I think now that as you're maturing as mathematicians and as college students and as engineers or whatever your field is, it's really going to become more and more important for you to be able to write your results and tell a story about how you arrived at them. And that's what I really want to see with these homework problems, is a story, right? So we'll see some examples of this. If it makes you nervous hearing this idea, if this is new to you, then don't worry. Like I said, we will see some examples and go over those in class. And then the 5th step I also wanted to mention, although we'll be getting more details of this in kind of day 2, they should always be accompanied by MATLAB code and validation when applicable. Modern mathematics really relies heavily on computational software. So everything that we're doing by hand, we're also going to be backing up with MATLAB, which, if you're not familiar with, it's a fairly not too steep of a learning curve. You can pick it up fairly quickly, and we'll be kind of assuming that you're starting from scratch there. So without prior knowledge, you're okay. So along the lines of MATLAB, which is the last thing I'll mention before we go, this last year, the university actually invested in a campus-wide license, which means you can download the software for free. And I'd really like you to encourage you to do that before our term starts. So if you could go to the MathWorks University portal, sign in, create your MathWorks account, and download the software, that would be great. I've also posted a link under day 1 to the MATLAB on-ramp tutorial, which is basically a 2-hour kind of like introduction to MATLAB, which would be very helpful for you to get into. So other than that, we're going to be going over some more details of this during day 1 of class. I just wanted to kind of introduce you to the structure of things and see how things are going to be going. I'm looking forward to meeting you all virtually. It's going to be a weird and odd and hopefully exciting and fulfilling experience for all of us to do the course in this way. And I just want to encourage you, as we're moving along, please be flexible. Please be open with your questions. Keep an open line of communication with me about how you're doing. If you're struggling with any sort of thing in terms of this new structure, or just in terms of the strains that COVID has placed upon you as an individual, then please do not hesitate to ask. I'm there with you. It's been a struggle for me and my family. Let's get through this together.